It's Toronto's podcast on the Canada's Podcast Network.
Hi, I'm Phil Bliss, and welcome to Canada's podcast from Toronto. Today I'd like to introduce you to John Hakim. John is a solutions architect with over 10 years of experience in building mission-critical systems for telecom, public safety, and enterprise. Most recently, his focus has been dedicated to building advanced solutions for the fintech industry. As co-founder and CTO of Lenmo, John drives the engineering and operations teams. So, although John comes from a blue chip company background, he has caught the entrepreneurial bug and now is actively building Lenmo, a peer-to-peer lending app that connects people to borrow money with investors looking to make money. Hey, John, thanks for coming. We met at Elevate, which was a super, I don't know which one it was at. I think it was the Salesforce gig. It was a good little.
I think it was, Espresso.
I can't remember which one. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about yourself and what you do? I know a little bit, so I think it's interesting to give us your perspective about, John and the entrepreneur kind of thing.
Sure. Thank you, Philip, for having me today and for this opportunity. My name is John Hakim. My background is actually Egyptian, so I'm born and raised in Egypt, where I had also my engineering degree. And also, I would say, consider myself new to Canada, especially Toronto. I moved here 2 years ago. Before that, I was actually living in different countries. Like, for example, I was living in Dubai for the last 4 years before I moved to Canada.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually expecting to meet people and I would say introduce myself to friends and make new friends in events like Elevate. And when I met you, it was really good opportunity to talk.
Yeah.
Get in touch.
We had a good chat. Yeah.
I remember that. So thanks for having me.
Okay. So, what about you, the entrepreneur? What are you doing at the moment as an entrepreneur?
So, I started my career even back in Egypt as a telecom engineer. So my background is actually electrical engineering, and this is how I started my career.
Mm-hmm.
But I would say the entrepreneurship, it's something that it's not just like a job. It's something that a skill or a talent that either you have it or you work on developing it. So
you think, like me, entrepreneurs are wired differently?
Yeah, I see it. I remember even since I was
being an electrical engineer, I guess wired differently is relevant. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. I see it like someone that look at things differently. Someone that there is a problem here, and how we can fix it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And look at things in a different way. If this is your trend or this is the way you're thinking about things in general, even in your personal life, I think you can call yourself an entrepreneur.
Okay.
So the story started, I would say, too early even when I was in university, and then I will find like a group of friends, and then we start a small project. For example, I remember internet back in Egypt like 15 years ago wasn't very accessible to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then my best friend, and actually he's actually the partner that I'm working with right now in my latest company. We started like, how we can provide service to people to access internet and make it easier for them and provide it as a service. It was very simple idea, right? But we were trying to fix it in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And even moving after that and working on specifically for big corporates and focus on my career on how can I provide solutions for public safety sector, which was mainly my focus. And you see like how different solutions can impact people's daily life, especially when we talk about public safety with all the situations that happen right now in terms of politics. You see that every moment matter. If you have the right solution for people in the moment that matter, I think that will make huge difference for their safety, for their life.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I like about even the latest entrepreneurship project that I'm working on, which is Lenmo.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to talk about it.
What is Lenmo? I don't want to get too promotional, but it's an interest. I know a little bit because we had a chat about it. So just tell everyone what it is. It's interesting.
So Lenmo was actually came up as a problem that we personally faced, me and actually my partner right now. And as I said, it's the same way we were used to think about problems and how we can fix it 15 years ago when we were in study engineering in university, right? It's the same way. I think this is how Lenmo came. So it started 6 years ago when my best friend and he moved from Egypt to the US, right? Looking for continue his after graduate studies, his PhD. And at the same time, I moved to the very different direction. I moved to Dubai, so very far apart.
Pretty different.
But I would say like-minded people sometimes, like we keep in touch every once in a while. We like to always keep ourselves like updated what's going on in our life. And it happens 2 years ago when I moved to Canada. And then I was like, okay, let's get in touch and come visit me. It was actually a New Year's time. And I was like, okay, come over to Canada. We can get in touch. And it's a good opportunity that we are closer now, right? And it was very exciting how he was talking to me about this problem that he had when he moved to the US, when he was trying to shopping around for a loan for his PhD. And, you know, like as any immigrant or new comer to the country, if you don't have any previous credit score or history, it's going to be really hard for you to get any financial support.
I am an immigrant, and so I actually do understand that. It's a while since I was an immigrant, but I don't understand that.
So I personally have the same thing. It's a different version of the story, but like, yeah, I also had the same thing when I moved to Canada. I couldn't transfer any of my financial history and insights to Canada, right? So it was very interesting that once he managed to get the loan, but after like a lot of hassle looking or shopping around for good deals. And at the end, he found himself that he's very limited with the options that are available, which is like money market or any other limited options that are really available in the market right now. And you have to agree with the terms, right? Because there's no other options. So we were talking about that and how this problem, not just facing him or me, it might be actually facing a lot of people. It doesn't matter if you used to have a good job, if you are even can afford paying back their loans, but still you have to go through the same process, which is a very, I would say, complicated process.
Okay.
So yeah, we were thinking about it. We think probably there is a solution here that other people couldn't maybe think about it, but why we couldn't have a way, why these people are actually cannot afford better deals to the borrowers that are looking for loans, or people that are looking in general for small amount loans specifically. And the answer for the question was actually is you don't have any information about this person. You don't know him. You don't know if this person is actually having any previous history or not. You're only looking for one specific criteria that you can classify this borrower, and we are all in the same bucket. It doesn't matter how different we are all classified in the same segment. And yeah, and after, I would say we spent the whole night, I remember this night looking at, this is probably might be a good solution that we can segment people in a different way and use all the information that we have about these people. If you have access to this information, that can help them get better deals actually, right? But like any other conversation, I mean, between me and him, that will end up sometimes with action, sometimes not. It was New Year's Eve, and I was like, okay, it's just a good chat and nothing can happen. Good ideas, but just go anywhere. Right?
Yeah.
But surprisingly, after 1 week, after he went back to San Francisco, he came back to me with a very detailed business plan and with just an idea, but we start actually looking at this seriously. And we start looking at who can help us actually starting this business. I think I would give credit to the Canadian entrepreneurs and investors, and especially angel investors. Most of our actually investment at the first stage were actually came from Canadian investors, like friends and family, and they support us a lot in the first stage.
Great. Okay. So, you know, Lenmo, you explained how you got there. Give me the quick 30-second elevator pitch of what that technology is? Because I know you've got that.
So we actually build a technology that can help borrowers looking for small amount loans to shop for their loans by actually using technology and provide information and data about these borrowers. And we actually facilitate the borrower's request by connecting them with the investors. Could be financial institutions, could be actually individual investors.
Mm-hmm.
And then we provide all this requests on the platform so investor can start bidding on different interest rates. So every investor is looking at your risk profile, which is different from what's going on in the market right now. We provide very detailed information about the borrower using data analytics. We actually collect 150 points of data about these borrowers, and we do data aggregation to visualize this information
Hopefully,
in a very simple way.
Hopefully, we can get away from some of the, some of the. I don't like the loan companies, and hopefully we can kind of, normalize that process now, which I don't think is very normal at the moment. So, you came from Egypt via Dubai to Toronto. You've been here what, a couple of years now?
Yeah, 2 years.
What would you say the benefits of doing business in Toronto versus versus other places that you visited?
It's very interesting because I believe that every market is different in terms of the challenge, in terms of the skill sets that's required for each market. So the things that I learned, for example, working in Middle East and have different challenges in the market there. I believe that when I moved to North America and worked with a lot of customers here and being involved in the technology business and different environment, I would say, I think your mindset need to be changed a little bit in terms of what's the needs, how to build a relationship with customer, how to listen to users and listen to your customers, because people are different. People live in Middle East, they have different needs, they have different requirements. And for you to feel like you're providing an add value to these users, you just not just need to speak their language, but also understand their culture, right? So it took me some time here to connect with people, understand what's the culture here, how you can deal with.
Well, it's an incredibly diverse culture. I mean,
it is.
Compared to what you were brought up in, really, in terms of, North Africa, it's very different.
It is. I think that the understanding the culture here, the background of all the people that we deal with, makes you feel actually more comfortable having business with them, right? And having a business relation. So I think at some point you need to have this kind of human connection before you move to the business side, right?
Okay. As you said, New Year with your buddy, some of the best ideas come when you least expect them. But how do you kind of disconnect? How do you get inspired? How do you get that thing going that says, I start here, but I finish here,
Yeah. So I think when we have like all this, especially in Toronto here, and probably a lot of people will agree with me that the lifestyle is really fast and the pace is really fast. So our daily routine is just wake up, go to work, come back, do whatever, do the activities, the routine activities that you are doing on a daily basis. So a lot of time we don't have time to stop and reflect how things work, if these things actually work the way it should be or not. And what helped me a lot is because I just moved into this community and environment, right? I had to question a lot of things. When you are new to something, you start questioning why this has happened that way. Because you didn't get used to it yet, right? But if you are born and raised there and this is your comfort zone, you don't question things because, we used to do this like for years, right? So when you focus and make a stop and ask and observe a lot, you actually start looking at things that can be done in a different way, right? And this is exactly what happened to us. We were new to the community and to the problems associated with this community. And because we keep asking questions, we found that there's things that can be improved, right?
Okay.
So I think this was one of the main reasons, right?
Okay.
When we stop and reflect, I think we can do things better.
You know, what are you most excited about in your business these days? I mean, you know, you're right. I know you're right. That point of raising money on the sort of the next round. So that's probably might be where the excitement is. I'm not sure.
I think
Maybe there's a
what's really,
technical excitement I don't know about, right?
yeah. So I think the most exciting thing about what I'm doing right now is how I managed to point an issue, right? And then utilizing all our knowledge and skills or the things that I learned, even if I didn't learn it here in Canada, I learned it somewhere else. I managed to utilize these skills in solving a problem to a community that probably I consider myself new to this community.
Yeah.
But how small changes can make big difference in people's life, right?
Yeah.
So what's really exciting for me, especially, I used to see the difference and the impact on people's life when I was developing solutions for public safety and enterprises right before. But now I see a direct impact on people's life with every feature, every solution we develop in Lenmo on people's daily life. And this is something that I'm really excited about. Like, I think making change is something that I really makes me passionate about. What's tomorrow? What's we gonna change tomorrow?
Okay, that's cool. I mean, so this isn't so much so this is you personally. What are the top three things on your, you know, your vision board, bucket list, whatever you call it, right now? I mean, that they tend to change based on where you are in your life cycle, but right now.
So I'm considering myself, as I said, I'm starting a new chapter, a new milestone in my life, right? I think by deciding moving to Canada, it was a big change for me that it took me some time to adapt. But one of the things that I always hear feedbacks from people that I'm very adaptable. And it's helped me a lot to even evolve in my career or even on the personal side, that I can be exposed to different backgrounds, different culture, different lifestyles, and I can adapt to that. So what I see here, one of the biggest changes, I moved to Canada, I'm very quick was realizing, okay, this is the skill set that you need to learn. This is the knowledge that you need to gain, but also in terms of business. I'm starting a new business in a new country, I would say for me, but at the same time, I'm happy to learn. So I think one of the things that I'm focusing on these days is how I can get more knowledge and how can I evolve myself and also evolve the business, because it's a journey. It's not just going to happen in one day. I'm not saying, okay, I'm an entrepreneur and tomorrow I can have a $1 billion company, right? It's a journey, and you introduce yourself to the world.
Right.
I'm new to Canada. I'm new to the Canadian and even the North American market in general. So I'm taking step by step to how I can introduce myself to this new world.
With that in mind, what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I'm always really excited to do things. So I sometimes, okay, let's do it now. Okay. Once there is a good idea or something that I'm excited about, I'm going to the action immediately, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best advices that I heard it from one of the people that I really trust actually was, you need to listen. I think when I have my time listening, I get a good results at the end. And at the same time, it makes me not just execute and then analyze things. Analyzing before I execute helped me a lot, avoiding a lot of issues that I actually could face if I didn't have my time to listen to people and analyze things. I'm giving you an example. This could be applied to my relationship, my family, for example.
Right.
And also on the professional life. So I'm listening to customers, I'm listening to feedback, I'm listening even to friends and family that, okay, I have a cool idea. Would that work in North America? Will Lenmo work as a concept? So I think by listening, by being accepting to the feedback, even if it's, I'm telling you, I'm happy for people to say, listen, what you're saying is bullshit. You need to work more on that. I'm happy.
Yeah.
If just people yeah, if they just try to and embrace me, but it's not on a real fact, I think it's not going to end up with good results.
Okay, we'll go through what kind of we call a rapid fire section,
Yeah.
which is I'm going to ask you questions and just pump out the answers. It's been quite a nice, thoughtful little discussion up to now. I'm not saying stop thinking, but just
Immediate answer.
okay. So if you weren't doing what you're doing now for work, what would you be doing instead?
I will work as a director, theater director.
Oh, that's a bit different than engineering. That's good. That's good. Okay, I love theater myself. Okay, what book are you currently reading, listening to, and what book would you recommend for the audience?
I'm more on the listening to the podcast, for example. So,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
one of the podcasts that I'm always like to listen to is Tim Ferriss, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
I like the guests. I like how he's managing actually the conversation.
Yeah.
Also, one of the books that I read, but long time ago, but still I live with this book. If the 7 Habits for the Most Successful People by
Yeah, I read that. That's a long time ago. You're right. It's good.
It's a long time ago, but still, I feel like whatever I read in this book and I learn, I still doing it on a daily basis, which is something.
That's great. Yeah. So are you a morning or a nighttime person?
I used to be a night person, but now I'm a morning person, and it's because of the business needs.
Yes.
By the way, the Lenmo team, we are internationalists, so we have the teams that actually work in Middle East. So is the time different? And
Yeah, I know that one. You're right.
I switched to be a morning person since I moved to Canada, which is good. I feel it's
morning's a time because then you can do Europe, which isn't too far from Middle East, about an hour or so.
Yeah.
And then you can move to the West Coast in the afternoon, and it's great,
So I'm connecting the area with the Middle East right now through Toronto. So
So if you had to pick one word to describe John, what would it be, and why?
As I said, I'm very adaptable person.
Okay.
And that helped me a lot.
Okay, good. What's keeping you up at night? If anything, maybe nothing.
No, there is definitely. I took a decision, and this was absolutely it's all my decision. I wasn't actually forced to do it, is to change my life and move to Canada. And that was a big challenge for me to prove myself.
Mm-hmm.
By also taking a decision to start a new business, it's a bigger responsibility.
Okay.
So I added to my shoulder by accepting the responsibility of starting a new business, of building a new life in Canada, but also building a new opportunity for me.
That's cool. Okay. What's your favorite place in the world?
Egypt.
Yeah. Okay. I can understand that. What are the 3 non-negotiables that have to happen in, let's say, your morning routine?
So the first thing is I have to say good morning to my girlfriend. This is something that there is no negotiation here, right? This is something that it's in my routine.
Yeah.
But I also have to have my coffee. Without coffee, I'm not functioning. Actually.
Okay.
And then jump on the first call, because I'm always having a daily call with the team to make sure that we connect, even if you're remotely. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is my daily routine in the morning.
And I don't know, you probably heard this because you said you listened to a couple of things. So we're going to go to the tropical island thing, okay? Mm-hmm. So there's this small tropical island in the middle of the ocean. It has a phone booth. Remember what that is, and it has no internet. We drop you off there, no technology, no computer, nothing, okay? You can use the phone booth on the island to call a boat for us to come and pick you up. How long do you think you'd last, and what would you do?
I will probably last for like a month, like 4 weeks maximum. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I will spend my time doing is building things. I like to build things. Like you will find me getting some wood if there's trees or something, and I will build something. I'll build like a tree house or something like that. And
Okay. Yeah.
handy things. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know why I didn't think about swimming and stuff. There's lots of great things you can do. Anyway, whatever.
Maybe I'll build a boat. Yeah.
Build a boat. I don't need that boat. I built my own raft. Yeah.
Maybe I'll build a boat.
Well, that's a final question, John. Thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. And I always like to, I like people listen to these things, and it's all about connection. And they hear something, they may want to connect with you. How can people get to you online?
So I have my social media accounts, but most of the time I'm more on LinkedIn. So you can find me by searching for John Hakim on LinkedIn, and I'm always like responding if there is any information you'd like to share with me and would like to connect. I'm more than happy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, John, thanks once more for coming on. Great story. Good luck with Lenmo. It sounds really interesting. Okay.
Thank you so much, and have a great day.
Thank you.